It's hard to know to what degree any one part of the system contributes to a particular disease state. Remember, it's a network, and there's all different levels of the network, and not one level is more important than another. So for example, when somebody becomes ill, when somebody gets an infection, or really an illness of any kind, I suppose, it has to do with what's going on in the overall system. How is the system compromised? A system can be compromised from primary immunocompromise, from secondary immunocompromise, such as one's emotional state, one's mental life state. So really, what's going on in the system at any one time, we don't know. But all of those things contribute to illness. So it's really difficult to say that any one thing or any one component of the system has everything to do with one's health. That's going back to looking at things in a very reductionistic kind of way. For example, one might be vulnerable to an infection because one is in such a distraught emotional state that their immune system is reacting to that and they're vulnerable. Another person might receive such a huge load of the virus that their immune system just can't overcome it, and they go into an illness state. Another person might have a combination of both going on. So it's really hard to know. And how we are in any one given day changes. That's the thing. We're never in equilibrium. We're always in a state of flux, and we're always in a state of change, which I guess brings us back to a scientific way of looking at us. That's what makes us different than a Newtonian system or a Cartesian system. Those systems are all about non-living systems close to equilibrium. We're never close to equilibrium. We're always fluctuating in one direction or another. The only time that a living system, that we as a living system are in equilibrium, is at the moment of death. And if you look at things that measure or approximate measuring equilibrium, such as heart rate variability, we want high variability. We want to be able to accommodate different situations. Low variability is problematic and suggests that there's actually something wrong. So we're far from equilibrium, and we're constantly in a state of change. I sometimes use the analogy or metaphor of a river, a living system like a river. If we were to walk out to the park right now, to one of the little rivers or streams running through and stand in that, and then come back in, and the next day go back out to that stream, or 2 weeks later or 2 months later, are we in the same river? Yes and no. The structure of that river we would still call River X. However, the pattern of that river, going back to substance and form, or structure and pattern, other words for it, the pattern of that river is completely different. There might be different life floating around in there than was there before. There might be a growth of certain types of plant life that wasn't there a few weeks ago. There might be some stones that fell into the river from the river's bank, which weren't there before, which created disruption in the flow. Just like there are things that can happen in a living system that create a disruption of the flow. So all of those things, I think, metaphorically describe what's going on in a living system as well.